you realize that the son not only shamed the father, but he embarrassed himself. Not only did he take what did not belong to him at the time, but he wasted it once he got it. He was given precious stones and precious emeralds and money. And it says when you read the story that he went out into another world and wasted it all with friends and women and drinking. Wasted it all. Embarrassed himself along with his father. But the father never held that against him.
All right.
When he decided to come back, the father didn't say, let's clean him up first. Boy, you stink and you smell, and I can't be around you for how you have acted. But the father said, give me the best robe. And you must realize that the robe that he was placing on him was designed for him to realize that you are still a part of this family.
All right.
He went and got the best robe for him and placed it on him as dirty as he was. I don't know about you, but when you were in your sin, God placed a robe on you as well. Because when you came through the door, he didn't wait for you to get cleaned up, but God welcomed you knowing that you had to be cleaned up. But God said, I know you aren't able to clean yourself up, so let me love on you first. Let me show you how much I care about you first. Let me show you how much I really do want you back into the family. Let me place a robe on you. You got to catch the fish before you can clean it.
All right.
Never met a fisherman, as good as they are, that dove into the water, grabbed the fish, and while they were still under the water, began to descale the fish. No. They have caught the fish. Some of them had the hook and had to remove the hook from the fish's mouth. And once they got the hook out of the fish's mouth, the very next thing they did is they took the fish and they threw the fish on ice. So that the fish would stay fresh while they continued their journey of trying to capture other fish. The father here saw his son afar off, ran to him, hugged on him, loved him, kissed him, had him to realize that you are still loved by me, my son. And the way I will show you is let me send one of the servants back to get the very best robe.
All right.
We got to realize that we got to show people love in spite of how they might look. In spite of how they might smell. In spite of what you know they have been through.
All right.
You need to show them some love. That's the first thing the father did.
Yes, he did.
But then I was reading this and I realized he went back and he said, and put a ring on his hand. Now you got to understand something. The significance to a ring being placed on an individual's hand, it was a ring gave you authority. And a ring was the way that you signed and sealed deals. The ring was implanted. It was your signature. Now, in order for an individual to have a ring, is they had to be a part of the family. They had to be a member of the family in order to wear the father's ring. The father sends them back in for a robe, but then tells them, don't just get the robe, but get a ring so it can be placed on his hand. Realizing that once the son saw that not only, yes, I know my father loves me, but he may not still give me the authority that I should have as a son in the family, he says, put a ring on his finger so that the son would realize, I have authority. I am not just one of the servants in the family, but I have authority. In spite of of all that I've done, I still have authority.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know about you, but when God saved you and He placed a robe on you and gave you His power, you have authority to be able to say to the devil, "You're under my feet now, Satan." You have authority to say that whatever you shall bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatever you shall loose on earth, it too shall be loose in heaven. That is authority. God came to give you life and to give it to you more abundantly. So maybe you too have found yourself in the hog pen and you're trying to get yourself up and out of the problems that you're having. But unless you realize, until you come home and get the robe put on your shoulders and get the ring placed on your hand, it doesn't matter what you say, it doesn't matter what you do, unless you've got God on your side, unless you've got God working for you, unless you've got God working with you. It doesn't matter how you try and get over it. It doesn't matter how you try and go through it. It doesn't matter how you try and go under it. You will not succeed unless God is on your side. I wish I had some help in here today. I need you to see that there were three things that the Father did. That one, He put a robe on them. Two, He put a ring on them. The third thing, I didn't understand it at first. I figured the Son had lost everything. And it says, go and get some shoes to be placed on His feet. Now, I saw that and I read it. I've read it a number of times. And God said, you must realize something. That when sandals were worn, sandals were only worn by family members. Servants were not allowed to wear sandals. They always were in their bare feet. When they worked in the house, they were in their bare feet. And the reason why is because they would be so dirty from being outside that they would not allow them to come into the house without washing their feet first. The Father saw His Son, and He said, the Son said to Him, just make me as one of your hired servants. And the Father said to no. You mean too much to me in order for me to have you be a hired servant. So go and get a robe, the best one we've got, and put it on, my son. Go and get a ring and put it on his hand so that he realizes he's still a member of the family. And not so folks that might be looking, might be wondering, is he really a part of the family any longer? Did the Father accept him back in? Is he still a member of this great family? The Father said, go and bring some shoes to be placed on his feet so that anybody that might be looking, they might be talking, but they have to agree with what they see. He's got shoes on his feet, and the only people that are allowed to wear shoes are family members. So he must have accepted them back into the family. What kind of man is this that would allow his child to disrespect him? That would allow his child to be disobedient? That would allow his child to waste his earnings? That would allow his child to go through his savings? That would allow his child to just embarrass him and the family name and then accept him? Oh, while this was going on, the Father's up in the watchtower looking for his son. Knowing he's got to come back. Believing he's got to come back. I don't know about you, but I've spoken to too many parents and I've spoken to too many grandparents that are worried about their children. But I remember hearing some of those older saints evidence, talking and saying, my son, my daughter, I know that he's saved. I know that she's saved. Even though their life was not exemplifying salvation, they were believing, I know that he's saved, and I'm believing that God is going to bring them home one day. And when God brings them home, I got nothing but love for them. I got nothing but a right to place on them. I got nothing but shoes to put on their feet. I don't know about you, but God, when he saw you in your sin, was looking out the tower, and he felt as though, I know my son Stephen is coming home one day. I know when he comes in, I'm going to give him the best robe that we have. I'm going to put a ring on his finger, and I'm going to put some shoes on his feet. I don't care what you might say about me. I don't care how you might be looking at me. But I love my son because he's worthy. He's worthy. He's worthy to receive what I got for him. I don't know about you, but God has something magnificent for you. God has something great for you. God has something good for you. But what you need to do is find your way back home and realize that when the saints are loving on you, they're not trying to be funny. They're not trying to be fresh. They're just trying to let you know, welcome home. It's good to have you back in the household of God once again. It's good to see you, my sister. It's good to see you, my brother. Let me get a robe to place on you. How many of you know that God, you're wondering where the robe comes from? And in the Bible it tells me that he clothed me with the garment of praise. That didn't come from me. That came from my Father. What was I praising him for? I praised him because while I was out there, I could have died. While I was out there, I could have been lost. While I was out there, things could have been worse than they were. But I praise you, God, because I made it back. I made it home. I'm here. And God, you clothed me with a garment of praise. That's why when you come in the house of God, you need to give God all the praise that's due him. Because you know, while you were out there, everything could have gone wrong. You thought you was in a pit, but you could have been in a worse situation. You thought you had no money, but you could have been in a worse crisis. You thought you had no bad health, but you could have been in a worse situation. But while you were out there, God was looking for you. He was looking for you afar off. And yes, you too was like the prodigal son.